We keep moving on with Matthew's Gospel and continue with Matthew chapter 8 and reading now from verse 23 through to verse 27. And when he got into the boat, his disciples followed him. A windstorm arose on the sea, so great that the boat was being swamped by the waves. But he was asleep, and they went and woke him, saying, "Lord, save us, we are perishing." And he said to them, "Why are you afraid, you of little faith?" And he got up and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a dead calm. They were amazed, saying, "What sort of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him?" Well, I'd say primarily, originally, this is a story about being a disciple, about following Jesus. In the preceding verses that we've looked at last week and even the week before, Jesus has told his team that they need to head for the other side. The journey begins. And then some questions arise about the unsettling, challenging nature of following the Son of Man, what that actually means. So the journey begins, metaphorically and physically, for these people. The scene is set, and then we get a vivid picture of what life can be like as a follower of Jesus Christ. Being a follower because you may or may not have noticed that Jesus is the one who gets in the boat first, and then they follow. So we're in the boat and on the move, but things are turbulent. We're buffeted from all sides by the waves, and we might lose our nerve. We might panic, give up, and we might even forget that Jesus is on board with us. But we pray, "Lord, save us. We are perishing." And then Jesus takes control. How beautiful, how wonderful, how absolutely amazing. And for me, when I read this story, I think Jesus is showing us something really important about how we can keep going. We must keep going, even when life is rough. The disciples are battling with the waves, struggling to keep going, trying to keep afloat. Is that how we feel? What feels like it's swamping us right now? Living with constant pain, maybe. Maybe it's about loneliness or relationship problems for us. Maybe we have too many people in our lives who are doing our head in right now. Maybe lack of work, unemployment. Maybe we're overemployed. We have too much pressure on us. Or maybe it's about boredom or frustration, or we're too busy. The turbulence of life making us feel unsettled, insecure, and anxious. The list could go on and on and on. If that's how we feel, if we can relate to all this in some way, then this is what we need to do. We cry out to Jesus as the disciples do, "Lord, save us. We are perishing. Help, we're going down. We're going to die. Do something, Jesus." And this is prayer, isn't it? This is what we do, isn't it? This is what we should do. But like so many of us, the disciples carried on rowing, probably, and panicking for quite a while before they thought to summon up the help of the one whom they'd followed into this boat called life. And like them, our checklist is usually this kind of thing. Carry on, check. Google it, maybe, check, if there's a problem. Maybe there's a YouTube video that we can look at, check. Keep trying on your own. Get angry. Blame someone else. Think about giving up. Panic again. And finally, suddenly remember, Jesus. Oh yes, I can ask Jesus to help. and then we pray. So often, too often, this is how things go for me when things are rough. I don't think I'm the only one. And then two things can happen. One, as we see here, the storm around us, the problem that feels like it's drowning us, is quelled. It's dealt with because Jesus answers prayers. He answers prayers in this way. He deals with the situation. Again and again, I hear from people. I pray for people. I pray for myself. And these prayers are answered. The situation is changed. And secondly, the storm inside is quelled. Jesus brings peace within. So it not only deals with the situation around us, like the stormy sea, but deals with the situation within us. Time and again, when I have prayed about something that is stressing me, I feel calmer after I have prayed. This week, I met with a colleague of mine his family are going through some challenges at the moment. And we prayed together. And I prayed with him about this really troubling, unsettling family issue, this turbulence, this storm that they're going through. And instantly, he said that he'd felt much calmer after we had prayed about it in this way, that he felt a sense of peace. And it's not the prayers, not because my prayers are so amazing. It's because of Jesus, who hears our prayers, who brings that peace. We talked about the practicalities, the situation that is affecting his family. We prayed for peace of mind, and we prayed against the attacks being made by the enemy, by the devil. Which brings me to my final point here. Jesus accuses the disciples of being of little faith. By implication, they have some, but not loads, of faith. By implication, they have doubts. That we have to be real. This can be us. This can be where we're at. And yet, Jesus still does this, even though that's what they're like. He saves them. And then instead of being blown away by the tempest, the disciples are blown away by who Jesus is. Matthew tells us, they were amazed, saying, "What sort of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him?" And this is such a powerful, mind-blowing thing that's going on. The word that Matthew uses to describe the conditions in the version that I've read, it describes it as a windstorm. It's a strange expression. I've never really come across anybody use that term before. But the word in the Greek is seismos, which might make us think of seismology, something that's seismic, that happens, so like to do with earthquakes, to do with everything shaking, with trembling. This is the kind of picture that is conjuring up here. And the sea represents not just the physical, material dangers of life, the fact that they're caught in this storm, this way that the whole sea seems like it's shaking and trembling in a major way. So not just those material, physical dangers of life, not just those internal things to make us feel calmer and get that sense of peace, but the sea in its scary state of trembling, sea-quaking seismos represents the swirling, menacing, undermining threat of evil that is all around us, all of the time, and that can make us believe that Jesus is not on board and that all is lost. This is a mind-blowing, supernatural thing, isn't it? It is for me, this thing that Jesus does. He actually commands the sea to stop doing what it's doing. He actually commands the wind to stop. He triumphs over, has authority over nature and over supernature. It's a spiritual battle that we are fighting, as well as against the things that we can see. So when we face our own storms, we should remember that Jesus is on board with us and pray. Pray sooner than we often do. Pray for him to deal with the situation, pray for the peace that he brings, and pray for victory over evil. And like the disciples, we will be amazed.